Recently, we looked at 10 excellent WWE matches that should have been awarded 5 stars in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, but they weren't. But in doing so, we realized that narrowing such a list down to just 10 matches was a bit of an impossible task. We were always going to be excluding a few bona fide classics, so like Davey Meltzer watching his 5th wrestling event of the day, we've decided to dive back in for some more. Also, a quick thanks to everyone who commented on the last video, and who knows, maybe you'll see a few of those suggestions in this video. Ooh, I'm Jack from Cultaholic, and these are 10 more WWE matches that should have been 5 stars, but weren't. Number 10, the Hardy Boys versus the Dudley Boys versus Edge and Christian, WrestleMania 17, or X7. Otherwise known as TLC 2, this match is widely regarded as one of the greatest ladder matches of all time, and with good reason. Not only did it feature 3 of the most iconic tag teams of all time, but also a bonus character for each team. Lita got involved on behalf of the Hardys, Spike for the Dudley Boys, and Rhino for Edge and Christian. Numerous moments in this match are unforgettable, but none more so than Edge's mid-air spear on a dangling Jeff Hardy, surely one of the most replayed spots in WWE history. But breathtaking carnage isn't the only reason we feel this match deserves 5 stars. It also ran miraculously smoothly given the complexity of some of the moments involved. Compared to a lot of modern ladder matches, not much time seemed to be taken up with the positioning of ladders without good reason. What I'm trying to say is the vast majority of this one really did make sense in the old kayfabe, and stood out even on what is generally considered to be the greatest WrestleMania card of all time. Number 9, Steve Austin and Triple H versus Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit, Raw, May 21st, 2001. The period between WrestleMania 17 and the beginning of the Invasion angle is a weird little quirk in wrestling history, isn't it? It's a weird time period, but it did give us at least one memorable classic of a match. Stone Cold's heel turn has widely been regarded as one of wrestling's great booking mistakes from a pure business point of view, but you can't say that he wasn't good at playing the bad guy. Along with former arch nemesis Triple H, he formed the 2-man power trip and established a monopoly on WWE's major titles at the time. It was down to the 2 Canadian Chris's, Jericho and Benoit, to save the tag belts, resulting in one of the most memorable matches in Raw history. First and foremost, it featured a great story. 2 men on the cusp of the main event scene, but also who hated each other, coming together, putting their differences aside to take the titles from 2 already established megastars. It was also the scene of Triple H's infamous quad injury, which did take him out of action for the rest of the year, but also became an important part of his legacy. That's because basically he gutted the rest of the match out, even suffering through walls of Jericho. Ouch. Number 8, Kota Ibushi versus Cedric Alexander, the Cruiserweight Classic, Round 2. Amazing matches are often laden with history and meaning, the culmination of epic stories told across many months or even many years. But that's not always the case. It really does feel like the wrestling world has gotten a lot smaller in recent years, with forbidden doors being swung open all over the place. But this matchup still feels very unlikely, even looking back at it today, between 2 men who really had nothing to do with each other. WWE's Cruiserweight Classic was full of positives and negatives, really. It was a very odd mixed bag of talent and experience. The winner didn't go on to become a main roster mainstay, and the resultant Cruiserweight Championship doesn't even exist today. However, on the positive side of things, it did give us some unbelievable matches, none more so than Cedric Alexander versus the Kota Ibushi. Despite no shared history at all to build off, the pair utterly tore into each other, and it really felt like a blend of a match, a blend of flashy American indie work and epic Japanese-style sequences. So the very fact that this took place under the WWE banner was nothing short of bizarre. The match was so good that, despite losing, Cedric was spontaneously congratulated at the top of the ramp by Triple H, who nodded in response to the crowd's chants of "Please sign Cedric." Number 7, Tyler Bate versus Pete Dunne, NXT TakeOver Chicago. Speaking of matches that didn't follow the typical WWE style, in the mid to late 2010s, NXT takeovers were the home of incredible work rate in WWE. And while the promotion's foray into the UK scene has arguably had quite disastrous consequences, especially for the UK scene itself, it has at least shone a very deserved spotlight on some of our island's greatest talents. Two clear examples of this are, of course, Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, who were invited to take part in the first TakeOver Chicago event. The story was a simple one. Tyler, the babyface UK champion, and Pete, the merciless heel, looking to take the belt from him. The pair's familiarity with each other was clear from the off, even to those who'd never seen them wrestle before. In just 15 minutes, Bate and Dunne put together many people's match of 2017. A real all-round display of greatness, from brawling to technical action to high-risk spots. They were mixed in there as well. To cut a long story short, watch this one if you've never seen it before. Number 6, Brock Lesnar versus John Cena versus Seth Rollins, Royal Rumble 2015. It says a lot that, at the time, this match wasn't just a proud inclusion in the back catalogue of Seth Rollins, who'd only been on the main roster just over 2 years at this point, but also in the back catalogues of Cena and Lesnar as well. The three men involved went hilariously further than they needed to in this match, given the star power involved. They could probably have just coasted through it, but instead, they did the very opposite, putting on an incredible, full-throttle, triple-threat match. This one had huge moments aplenty, from Seth elbow-dropping Lesnar through the announce table to Cena hitting an attitude adjustment on both members of J&J Security at the same time. It also had an incredible closing stretch. With Brock seemingly down and out, Cena and Rollins exchanged counters and finishing maneuvers back and forth, only for Lesnar to spring back to life in defense of his title. The Royal Rumble really does have a history of throwing up brilliant undercard matches outside of the Rumble matches themselves, and this one is certainly right up there with the best of them. Maybe we'll even see another example on this list very shortly. Number 5, Brock Lesnar again, this time versus CM Punk at SummerSlam 2013. Yes, at the time of recording this video, CM Punk's most notable recent achievement is the whole all-out, stuff. But never let it be forgotten that Punk is an incredible wrestler capable of having some incredible matches. And the best example from his latter days in WWE probably came at SummerSlam 2013. For 25 minutes, it's fair to say that Brock and Punk were not very nice to each other. This one was a hard-hitting, no-DQ brawl that centered as much around stiff, martial arts-inspired punishment as it did the use of weapons. Paul Heyman was also a key factor, getting involved to screw Punk before his former ally dished out some crowd-popping justice, only for Brock to take advantage and scoop a very hard-fought victory. Number 4, AJSTYLES versus John Cena, Royal Rumble 2017. We did mention excellent non-Rumble matches at Royal Rumble events, and Cena versus Styles would be many people's favourite example of this. This was the high point of an excellent feud between the two, which also featured a great match at Money in the Bank 2016 and an even better one at SummerSlam 2016. But Cena and AJ's Royal Rumble clash eclipsed all of that, featuring two men who by this stage knew each other inside out. Styles was his usual brilliant self, and Cena proved once again that he carries an incredible knack for rising to the occasion, elevating his game to match an opponent of AJ's caliber. The ending was also spectacular, with Cena chaining attitude adjustments together in unique fashion, picking up not only the win in the process, but also his historic 16th world title reign. Dave Meltzer remarked afterwards that this was more similar to a top-tier New Japan main event than a sports entertainment spectacle in the typical WWE style. And this was high praise indeed, given New Japan's incredible quality around this time, as well as Dave's historic affinity for the promotion. So why didn't it get 5 stars, Dave? Number 3, ADRIAN Neville versus Sami Zayn, NXT TakeOver R Evolution. On the previous version of this video, watch it if you haven't already, do check it out, I was worried that I'd placed the Revival versus DIY far too high on the list as a personal favourite of mine. And I was worried, but then the comments agreed with me. And to say it was a pleasant surprise would be a dangerous understatement. So here's another personal favourite from NXT, this time an epic title match from December 2014. This wasn't a tale of good versus evil, but it was a tale of Sami Zayn battling with himself as much as his opponent. He didn't just fight Neville in this bout, but also he fought his own ability to even win the championship and the lengths he'd go to in order to do so. In the end though, after a stellar contest between two obviously obscenely talented individuals, we got a finish that was surprisingly very wholesome. With the referee down, Sami found himself very tempted to use the title belt to secure the win, but decided against it. The fact that he ultimately pulled out the victory anyway led to the best kind of pure babyface triumph. What a moment, a happy ending, the likes of which we honestly rarely see in wrestling these days. And then seconds later, he was beaten down by his best friend Kevin Owens, so, every silver lining has a cloud. Number 2, Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle on SmackDown September 18th, 2003. Iron Man matches are a risky proposition. Even the best ones are often thought of as very divisive. The most famous example of this is surely Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12, with audiences generally split on how effective it actually is. In a similar vein, I've heard many people say that they love Triple H versus The Rock from Judgment Day 2000, a match that personally I can't really stand. I mean, Triple H wins because Undertaker attacks him. That's not a cool ending, guys. I don't care that he's a biker now. Anyway, one Iron Man match that most people agree is excellent, and it's also many people's greatest SmackDown match of all time, is from 2003 between Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle. A lot of wrestling matches with stipulations attached often fall down when logic is applied. Why don't they just do this, we say, and our suspension of disbelief is thereby ruined. Not in this one though, as Brock deliberately surrendered the lead to Kurt in order to batter him with a chair, getting himself DQ'd in the process, but wearing his opponent out from the very beginning of the match. It is a tactical masterstroke, one that makes total sense and fit Brock's heelish character at the time, and one which set up the rest of the match to be just as epic as we'd all hoped. Fantastic. Number 1, Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle, WrestleMania 21. I'm not sure what more you can really say about this one other than it's two all-time greats at the very top of their game, treating us to nearly half an hour of in-ring perfection. This one really ticks all of the boxes as far as things go, such as pacing, timing, the execution of moves, controlling the crowd's emotions. Angle and Michaels took us on an absolute roller coaster in 2005. It's a subjective rating scale, of course, and most of Angle's best work came in the decade when Meltzer decided to dish out 5 stars very rarely, but Kurt Angle is probably the best wrestler ever never to have a Meltzer 5-star match. But if any of his amazing bouts deserved a maximum rating more than any of the others, this one is a prime candidate. In the case of Shawn as well, it may have later been overshadowed in his entire legacy by his series with The Undertaker and his retirement of Ric Flair at WrestleMania 24, but this match with Kurt stacks up there for me with any of HBK's best bouts, and that really is saying something. So there you have it, 10 more amazing WWE matches that should have received 5 stars, but didn't. Do leave your suggestions in the comment section down below and check out our previous video on this, and hey, maybe we'll do another one soon, maybe even from a different promotion. Ooh, leave your thoughts below and let us know what you want to see. And hey, thank you very much for watching. I've been Jack from Cultaholic, and I'll see you very soon.